Good morning, everybody.
Morning. Good morning.
How was your weekend?
Good.
Good. Did y'all get to spend some time watching TV or playing video games or something?
Playing video games.
Played video games, yeah. I'm almost done with the one I'm working on. It took me forever to get anywhere on it, but I'm at 90% right now, and so I'm almost done. Two more people waiting to jump in, and then we will get started right away this morning. Does everybody have the answer to our warm-up question? If you had to fight one dog-sized spider or 100 spider-sized dogs, which one would you fight? That was our question for the day. So think of a really big spider, just one of them, or 100 teeny tiny little dogs. Get one more person to jump in here, and then I'll start calling on people.
Did you change your name, Sarah? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
All right, Hannah, I see your hand up. Go for it. Would you rather fight one dog-sized spider or 100 spider-sized dogs?
One dog-sized spider.
And why?
Because it's small and I could just squish it.
Interesting. I never said what the size of the dog could be. What if it was like a great size spider?
Like a what?
A Great Dane, like a really huge dog, like as big as.
I know what a Great Dane is, Miss Johnson. I want one, but we already got two more puppies.
Yeah, Great Danes are awesome. Hannah, what if it was a big dog?
Well, it would probably be at least this big.
Yeah. Your video's frozen, so if you're trying to show me something, I can't see it. You know what? Hold on one second. My internet's not plugged in. Could be mine. I forgot to re-plug it in this morning.
What, Blue?
Give that a second to get a little bit faster.
Well, she was going to read it to you.
There we go. Okay, so. Yeah,
Frozen!
it looks like you're still frozen.
I'm not frozen. Yeah, is it frozen?
It's jumping in your eyes. Reed, you look frozen.
Everyone talking on my screen is like frozen.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to jump over to Valeria. What would you do? Would you rather fight one dog-sized spider or 100 spider-sized dogs?
I'd rather fight a dog-sized spider because it would be too hard to kill dogs.
Yeah, I have that feeling too. I don't know. That'd be weird. All right, Will, what do you think? What would you do?
Valeria just stole my answer, but I have the same answer as her.
Yeah, so you'd rather fight the big spider?
Yes.
Goodness.
I
All
don't
right.
want to kill dogs. Yeah.
Right? All right,
Not my
Chase,
type
what
of
would
guy.
you rather
I'm
do?
not that type of guy.
Chase, would you rather fight one really big spider or 100 teeny tiny dogs?
See what you're reading.
Simba.
Would you rather fight one really big spider or several teeny tiny dogs? Which one would you rather fight? Chase, you can answer this. One spider or a lot of dogs? Which one would you rather fight?
One spider.
One spider. Yeah, you'd rather take care of one thing than a whole bunch of dogs? Good answer. Landon, would you rather fight one huge spider or 100 teeny?
I would kill 100 teeny tiny dogs because I have no sense of cuteness.
No sense of cuteness. Okay. James, what would you do?
What would you do?
You don't raise your hand. She picks you.
One big spider or a whole bunch of dogs? Which one would you rather fight?
I know you don't like dogs either. Come on, what is it?
While you're thinking, I'm gonna go to Sean because it looks like you need some time to think. Sean, what would you?
Would fight one dog-sized spider because I have fought my brother.
You have what? I'm sorry, you cut off.
I would fight a dog-sized spider
Because?
because I like to kill spiders because they always put webs on my ceiling and stuff.
Yeah. I have that same feeling. I've been seeing a lot of spiders. I think it's just the time of the year the spiders are out. So are all the wasps. I hate those. All right,
Yesterday-
Noella, are you there? Noella, are you there? Looks like we're staring up at the ceiling. I'm gonna jump over to Mia and then I'm coming back to you, James. Mia, would you rather fight one giant spider or 100 spider-sized dogs?
One spider,
Yeah, why?
because it would be easier to control.
Easier to control. Awesome, good answer. All right, James, I hope you got an answer. I'm coming back to you. What would you rather fight?
100 tiny spiders because I'm allergic to dogs.
Because you're allergic to dogs. Okay, so you were not allergic to spiders. You might be able to fight them a little bit better. I like that answer. Good job. All right, let's see. CJ, I haven't heard from you. What would you rather fight?
I would fight tiny dogs, even though I have dogs, but my dog's teeth are sharp, and if the dog's teeth that I'm fighting are sharp, then I could die.
Oh, okay. So you'd rather fight the spider? Is that what you said?
No, I'd rather fight the dog.
You'd rather fight the dogs, even though their teeth are sharp?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, good job. All right, Landon, I see your hand up. What's up?
A dog's instinct is to go for your throat so you could die for both.
But if they're teeny, teeny, tiny like spiders, I don't think they do a lot of damage going for your throat.
100 of them will.
I guess they could swarm you and do that. All right, let me jump over to Noella. Are you with us? I called your name a couple of times. Are you there? Only one? Only twice? Noella, are you there? Okay, I'm gonna skip you. All right, Gabriel, you're our last person. If you were gonna fight one giant spider or 100 teeny tiny little dogs, which one would you rather fight? One giant spider or 100 teeny tiny dogs? Gabriel, can you hear us? Gabriel, can you hear us? Going twice? We're going to move on. Noella, I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you with us?
Okay, bye.
Okay, guys, we're just going to go ahead and get started. I don't know what's going on with some people's audio, but we're going to move on. All right, we're going to jump into reading today. Our reading is going to be covering theme. Theme is like when you think about the whole entire book or the whole entire story, what is the message that it's trying to tell you? You could figure this out based on like how the character is acting, what they're saying. It kind of goes along with their feelings and emotions and how they change throughout the story. So it's very different than character traits. It's kind of like when we covered like what's the moral of the story, what did you learn from the story? It's kind of on that same topic, but usually this is expressed in like one word or like 2 or 3 words to explain what the theme is. So our example today comes from Pete the Cat, I Love My White Shoes. It's a fun little story. So make sure you're on mute and you're watching the screen. I will be asking you about which one of these words you think covers the theme of this story. What do you think this story is mostly about? Okay, so here is our book for today. Please make sure you're not drawing on the screen.
Pete the Cat was walking down the street in his brand new white shoes. Pete loved his white shoes so much, he sang this song. I love my white shoes. 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 Oh, no. Pete stepped in a large pile of strawberries. What color did it turn his shoes?
Red!
Did Pete cry?
Goodness, no!
He kept walking along and singing his song. I love my red shoes. 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 I love my red. Oh no! Pete stepped in a large pile of blueberries. What color did it turn his shoes?
Blue!
Did Pete cry?
Goodness, no!
He kept walking along and singing his song.
I'm going to pause for just a second and point out a couple of things. Some of the lessons that we covered in the past couple of weeks, we're going over like questioning skills. So something that I'm questioning while I'm looking at this book is, number one, why are there huge piles of strawberries and blueberries just laying around everywhere? That's weird. And then number two, why is Pete not seeing those piles as he's walking into them? You would think big pile of something, you would go around it and not on top of it, especially if you want to keep your white shoes white. But those are some things that I'm thinking and some questions that I have. I'm gonna push play in just a second, watch the rest of the video, but I want you to keep in mind today's lesson is on theme. So far in the story, every time Pete has come across something like bad that happened, think about how he responded to it. Did he cry? No. Was he upset? No. Did he go, oh man, my shoes are ruined and like his whole day is ruined? No. He made the best of it. He was happy about it, kept singing his song, kept being happy. So keep that in mind as your theme as you go along, okay?
I love my blue shoes. 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 I love. Oh no! Pete stepped in a large puddle of mud. What color did it turn his shoes?
Brown!
Did Pete cry?
Goodness, no!
He kept walking along and singing his song. I love my brown shoes. 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 I love my brown. Oh no! Pete stepped in a bucket of water. And all the brown, and all the blue, and all the red were washed away. What color were his shoes again?
White!
But now they were wet. Did Pete cry?
Goodness, no!
He kept walking along and singing his song. I love my wet shoes. 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 The moral of Pete's story is, no matter what you step in, keep walking along and singing your song, because it's all good.
All right, so they kind of wrapped it up with the moral that they thought that this book kind of represented, which was the like, keep walking along no matter what you step in. And I don't think the author actually meant that literally, like when you step in something. I think they're kind of referencing like something bad that happens to you in life. So when something bad happens, don't worry about it. Keep on going. Keep being happy. Keep singing your song. You know, just keep being you and being happy that life is good. And sometimes bad things happen, but it's not the end of the world. It will get better if you just keep moving forward. Okay, so I think that was our moral. So if we go back to, let me see if I can go back to my new screen here. Go back to this screen and we look at our anchor chart here of theme topics. Compassion is like showing that you care for somebody, showing love for somebody that's hurt, things like that. Don't think that applied to this story. Equality, making sure that everybody has an equal opportunity to do something. There wasn't another character in this book that was struggling to do something, so I don't think it's that one either. Being yourself, I don't think anybody in the story wanted Pete to be different or was saying, you know, you shouldn't be a blue cat, you should be a white cat. It wasn't about that, so I don't think so. Friendship, he's not making a friend in this book. Never giving up, I could say maybe, because he might have wanted to give up whenever he stepped in something and changed the color of his shoes. He could have sat down and cried and, you know, made a big fit about it, but he didn't give up. He turned it around and said, you know what, I like this color, and kept singing about those shoes. So that one could work, never giving up. Jealousy, he wasn't jealous in this book. Keeping traditions, like doing the same thing year after year, it wasn't in this one. Being alive and being happy to be alive, not really. I guess an argument could be made that he was happy and making the best of his life, but I don't really think this one fits as best as this one does, the never giving up. Loneliness, he wasn't lonely. Anger, he wasn't angry. Cooperation, working together with somebody, that didn't happen in the book either. Being brave about something, there was nothing that scared him, so I don't think that one worked. Self-control, I could see an argument being made for this one because he was in control of his emotions. He took control of himself, made the best of a good situation. Whenever he stepped in something, it could have gone bad, and he had self-control to go, you know what, this is not that big of a deal. We'll just keep being happy and keep moving along. So maybe that one. Fairness, everybody getting the same thing, wasn't in this book. Kindness, wasn't in this book. He didn't show kindness to anybody. Having hope for something, I don't really think this one applies either. He wasn't really hopeful that his shoes would turn a different color. He was just happy with what they were at that time. Determination, I think, could apply. I think he was very determined to keep being happy no matter what color his shoes were. So I could see an argument for that one. So let me go ahead and highlight these ones I've talked about. Determination, self-control, never giving up. I think those apply. Hard work, he wasn't really working hard at something, so I say no. Acceptance, I could say maybe for that one because he was accepting of the color of his shoes when he stepped in them. Usually acceptance is like you're accepting of another person, but I guess it could be applied to accepting of a situation, like being okay with what just happened. So that one could work. Overcoming adversity. Adversity is like troubles and problems in your life. So he overcame some problems. He had these brand new white shoes, stepped in a couple of things, kind of ruined them, what most people would think, turning them these different colors. And so that was a problem. And he overcame it by being happy with the situation, loving the new color of his shoes, and just making the best of it, even when they were wet. I hate wet shoes. I don't know if you've ever been walking around in wet shoes, but that squishy feeling, oh my God, it's nasty. So I hate that. I would have like sat down, taken off the shoes, tried to wash them in the sink or something, but he just kept on going, being a happy cat. So I think definitely he overcame some adversity. A sense of peace, I don't think was really in the book. Differences between people, seeing differences, I don't think so. Being loyal and like staying true to a friend or a neighbor or even true to yourself, I don't think that was really in the book. And then taking a stand on something is like, I believe in this, I'm going to fight for this no matter what. I don't think that was in the book either. So I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 good options for this book to look at theme. So again, when you go through this week and you're looking at different books to look at the theme, think about the entire book, not just like one page, but the entire book. What is that character showing you? What did they learn? How did they act? What are their feelings towards that? Did they change from the beginning to the end of the story? And kind of look at this list and see if you can pull out something that describes what this book was about and be able to explain why. Give me some evidence from the book to explain, here's why I think this is the theme. Okay. Let's jump into science. So this week we are talking about plant characteristics. I'm going to call on a couple of people, so be ready. Hi, Miss Bishop. We couldn't hear you for a while there. Can you hear us now?
Noella was having a hard time getting in. I couldn't get her in until I finally refreshed for 15 minutes.
Sorry.
So we're so sorry.
Whatever she was getting on, it was like staring up at the ceiling, and I kept calling her name like, Noella, are you with us? Can you hear us? And she would never respond. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it showed a frozen screen, so it wasn't showing anything on our end. So I finally right now got it to work, but let me get her in.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. We just went over a theme from Pete the Cat. I love my new shoes. And so that'll be part of the video and she can go back and watch that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks. All right. So we're going to jump into science. This week for science, we are talking about plant characteristics. Some of this is going to be a little bit of review from first grade or just your own schema and your own knowledge of what you already know. So we have these parts of the plants that are labeled. Let me see if I can get these out. We have number 1 pointing to this blue piece here, or bluish purple. We have 2 pointing to this long piece here. We have 3 pointing to these 2 pieces here. And we have 4 pointing to these things that are under the ground. These are our 4 words that we can choose from. Let me call on somebody and you can unmute yourself and tell me what belongs in space number 1. And then I will reveal the answer and see if you're right. Mia, what word would you put in space number 1? Make sure you unmute yourself. You're unmuted now. Which one of these words would go in space number 1 right here?
Flower.
Flower. Let's see if you're correct. Woohoo! It is the flower. Very good. So flower is that top part. Good job. All right, let me call on somebody else. What word would go for number 2? Sean, what do you think?
Stem.
You think it's the stem. Let's see if you're correct. Yes, good job. See, I knew this was going to be easy review. What word would go in number 3, Valeria?
I would say in number 3, it would be the leaves.
The leaves. Thank you for your complete sentence, and you are correct. Good job. And everybody, you can unmute yourselves. What is our last one that goes in number 4?
Roots.
The root.
The roots. Very good. Okay. So throughout this week, you're going to learn that each one of these of the flower does something very specific. This top part, the flower, is responsible for a couple of things. Number 1, it has all these colors that attract insects and birds and other things to it that drink the nectar. We all know that, right? So that flower is an important part to attract the bees and the bugs and the birds. And then in the middle part here, that is where the seeds are held. And you're going to learn on the next page how seeds can be dispersed or pushed away so that they travel to different locations. So the flower is important for really 2 different things: attracting things and making the seed so that it can grow flowers. The stem here has a couple of different jobs as well. Not only does it hold our flower up to give it some structure so it's not just laying on the ground all the time, but it also transports water from the roots through the stem to the leaves. It's kind of like a big highway for water. It moves all that water throughout the plant so that it can get nutrients and everything that it needs to grow. Number 3, these leaves, they have an important job. They have to spread out really wide and soak up lots of sunlight to help the flower grow. So I don't know if you know it, but flowers and plants make their own food. They can't go to Burger King or Walmart and get a McDonald's cheeseburger. They have to make their own food. So the leaves have to be there to soak up the sun. If the plant had no leaves, it wouldn't grow for very long. So like that is like their stomach soaking up all the food that it can. It has to have leaves and it has to be very widespread and has to have lots of sunlight so it can make its own food. Number 4 is our roots down here. This is very important. It also has a couple of different jobs. One of its jobs is to hold it in place so that it doesn't just blow over and go everywhere. So it kind of anchors it to the ground and holds it in place. And then number 2, we all know that it soaks up nutrients and food from the ground, and that helps feed the plant as well. It soaks up water and different minerals and things like that to help feed the flower or the plant. So each one of our parts of our plant, if we took away one of those parts, it's not going to live very long, and it's not going to be able to reproduce and have the kind of life that a normal flower would. Each one of those parts is very, very important. So we need to keep that in mind. Okay. On this page, we are going to figure out a little bit how seeds get dispersed. Dispersed is a big word that means like moved, carried away. So there's 3 different ways that we're going to think about this for the rest of the week. One way that seeds can move is from animals, and they can move them a couple different ways. We've seen on Brain Pop before where animals can come, like you can walk through the forest and it can eat an apple and then walk somewhere else, and then when it poops, some of those seeds from the apples get moved to a different spot because as it was walking, it transported itself to a different location, and then the seeds can actually go into the soil right where that animal pooped and can grow a new apple tree. So animals eating the plants can actually move the seeds because of their poop. Another way that they can do it is some seeds, like this one right here with a lot of these little sticker burr things that stick out of it, they catch on to either your clothing or the animal's fur, and the animal walks or runs, and when it brushes up against something, that seed will fall off and it'll be planted in a new location. So sometimes the seeds have these adaptations where they can have these little stickers on them to kind of catch onto something and be transported to a different location. That's pretty cool. And then a third one is just kind of just picking up food, walking around with it, and then dropping it somewhere else. So just eating and walking. Think about like when you have a snack when you're on a hike or going to the zoo or something. Let's say you had an orange and you walk in the door of the zoo with an orange and you're eating it as you're walking around, and you walk around, you see the elephants, you see the giraffes, and you see the monkeys. And by the time you get to the monkeys, you're done with that orange and you've dropped a couple of seeds. Well, you've now walked hundreds of feet and moved that orange from one location to another. So just eating and walking around helps transport seeds. One of the other ways that seeds can move is from water. So we see in this picture right here 2 examples of seeds that can do transportation in water. So like coconuts grow on palm trees, and palm trees are usually near watery places like the ocean or an island or something like that. And so when those seeds fall, they float, and it can be moved around in the water from place to place until it hits land again, and then it'll grow on the new space in the land. Something else that can float is something that looks like this. It kind of looks like a paddle on a boat or something, and it kind of just moves around in the water until it lands in a different place. So water can move things from place to place. And then our last way that seeds can move is wind. We've all seen these kind of flowers, these dandelions. They look like little clouds of white, and when you blow on them, they and kind of float away. So these are very, very light seeds, and they have ways to be carried on the wind. This one too, I've never seen this one, but this one's pretty cool. It kind of has like a little tail. So I would imagine as it gets dispersed or blown off of that flower that it kind of swims through the air like a snake until it lands on the ground. So it kind of just hangs out in the air gliding a little bit before it lands. And then this one, this maple seed, I've seen this one like on the Tinkerbell movies. I know we've watched that before. They kind of spin around like this as they're falling down like a helicopter. And so it helps it not fall so hard to the floor, because this one's from a tree and so it's really high up, and it just helps it make its way safely to the ground where it can be blown away and move to a different place. The reason why seed dispersal is so important is, think about it, if all the trees that we had dropped their seeds in one location, we would all have trees just in one location and not all over the world. So trees and plants and flowers, they have to have a way for their seeds to move around from place to place so that they can grow in all these different places and not be in just one location. So moving these seeds is very, very important. Okay, so keep that in mind for this week. Something else that we need to be aware of is different adaptations that plants have to live in different environments. We know we have hot environments, cold environments, windy environments. There's all these kind of different environments that we have. And if you look at these examples of plants here, they all look very, very different. This palm tree is very thin. It tends to bend in the wind because usually it's like on a watery, windy place. And so it needs that ability to bend back and forth. This one, the lily, I don't know if you know what that is, but those are like these big green pads that are flat, and they sit on like a lake or a pond, and they actually grow underwater. So that's different. Not a lot of plants grow underwater like that. They want water, but not that much water. This one has an adaptation to want lots and lots and lots of water because it actually grows in the water. That's pretty cool. This cactus has an adaptation to hold lots of water because it lives in a desert, and deserts don't get a lot of rain. So when it rains, it has to soak up as much water as it can. And if you've ever felt a cactus before, not only does it stick you because it has these sharp spines, which is also an adaptation to help protect it from animals, but it has like a waxy kind of feeling. It's not very like smooth and soft like a regular leaf. It's more like waxy and kind of thick. That helps the water to stay inside the plant so that it keeps what it needs and it doesn't lose the water in that hot, hot desert. So that's a really cool adaptation too. I'll come to you in just 1 second, Landon, okay? This one, this spruce tree, it doesn't have leaves like we're normally used to seeing. It has what's called needles, not like poking needles, but just long, thin needles. You might have seen it like on a pine tree if you have one in your neighborhood or at your house or something like that. They're like long, thin needles. That kind of helps it stay green a long time. Usually we call those evergreens. They don't lose their leaves in the winter like most trees do to save energy. Needles help it stay green for a long, long time. Landon, let me pause. What's your question?
I didn't have a question. I had a fact about the cactus.
Okay, go for it. Share a fact.
If you cut open a cactus, you'll find cactus milk. Do not drink it.
Ooh, why?
It can cause diarrhea.
Ooh, I don't want to do that, but I don't think I'm going to go into a desert anytime soon. But thank you for that fact. Now, if I know I'm in a desert, I won't open it and drink it. Okay. Then we have two more down here. Grass has its own adaptations. It stays low to the ground. It has these thin blades that come up. It can be cut. It can be trimmed. We all have grass in our yards, but it has its own special adaptations as well to help it survive. And it looks very, very different than any of these other ones. Very different. And then our last one is our maple tree. These are kind of the trees that lose their leaves in the fall and the winter. You're going to see they change color. They're green in the summer, and then they kind of turn yellowy orange in the fall when it's getting cold, and then they lose their leaves in the winter. And one reason why they do this is because trees kind of go into hibernation, like you learned last week that animals do, but we don't call it hibernation. We call it dormancy. So when it gets cold, there's not a lot of sunlight. The days are shorter and it's a little bit darker because the sun's in a different position. So it doesn't get a lot of sunlight, and it's also not raining as much because the rain is kind of like in the summer months, like May, June, July, August, that kind of thing. And so the tree doesn't have as much energy because it doesn't have as much sunlight and water. So it kind of shuts down and it goes into a dormant state or a sleepy state or like a hibernation kind of thing. And it doesn't need those leaves if it's not making all that energy. So it drops those leaves to save that energy inside the tree so it can live. And then when it starts getting warmer, that tree starts producing leaves again so it can soak up that energy from the sun and from the water and start growing again. So this week you're going to hear that word dormancy. Think of it like hibernation, but animals hibernate, trees go dormant, okay? So we have this kind of matchy-matchy game where we have A, B, C, D, E, F, and it matches one of these plants over here. I'm going to take turns and call on some names and see if you can match up our letter to our plant, okay? So first person, Hannah. A says lives in hot desert and stores water in its stem. What plant would that match? Say it again.
Miss
Say-
Johnson.
Yeah. You're kind of cutting in and out. Can you hear me?
Miss Johnson.
Ooh, that kind of sounds scary. All I can hear is Miss Johnson. Uh-oh, sounds like we're having some audio difficulty. Let me call on somebody else. I'm so sorry. Mia, can you tell me what plant that A matches? Let me see if I can make sure you're unmuted. There you go.
The cactus.
I think it matches the cactus. Very good. Cactuses live in hot deserts. Here's our evidence. And we talked about storing water in its stem. So this would be where it stores its water right there. Okay. Very good. All right. Let me call on Mr. James. B says lives in areas where there is a lot of rainfall. Leaves are large to collect sunlight, and they have a waxy layer to help water drip off the leaves. Lots of rainfall, large leaves. Which one of these has probably our largest leaves and uses lots of water? I mentioned this plant likes to live in a lot of water when I was going over all the plants.
Lily pads.
Lily pads, yes, that was a little creepy too. It kind of creepy. All right, lily pads, very good. Those live in a lot of water. All right, how about C? Lives in windy areas. Stems are soft so they can bend. I kind of went over that when we were talking about these also. Landon, can you help me out with that one? Which one of our plants lives in windy areas so they can bend?
I think it's the palm tree.
The palm tree, very good. So we talked about this small, thin stem right here. It's pretty big when you stand next to it, but compared to other trees, they're pretty thin, and they're able to kind of sway in that breeze and really bend and not break. Very good. All right, we're getting down to our last three. How about letter D? Lives in areas with different seasons. So you're gonna see that summer, fall, winter, spring kind of thing. Some trees lose their leaves in the fall and winter to protect from freezing weather. I went over this too, so let's see if somebody can pick it up. AJ, which one of our plants would live in different seasons and lose their leaves?
I think it would be the maple tree.
The maple tree, I agree with you. We can see that it's in a season because the leaves are orangey colored. And when the trees live in seasons like that where they change, you're definitely gonna see that like green, orange, red, and then like no leaf kind of thing. Very good. All right, last two. E, lives in areas with cold winters. Most of the trees have needles instead of leaves to lose less water. Which one of these has needles? Chase, I got you. So is it grass or the spruce tree? Which one has needles? Very few leaves. I'm sorry, you're muted. Let me unmute you. There you go. All right, would it be grass or spruce tree? Which one has thin leaves that look like this? They look like needles. The spruce tree, I agree with you. We're gonna have very needle looking leaves for that one, very good. And then everybody, where does F belong?
Grass.
Yeah,
Ah.
okay.
Ah.
We'll agree with that. All right, so let's jump over into math. I think we're making good time today. For math last week, we talked about multiplication and making groups of numbers and objects so that we can say this plus this equals, and then we have a big group. This time, we're going to be looking at division. We're going to take the group of something and have the biggest number, and then we're going to break it down into chunks. Okay, so let me kind of break this down. So this would be the picture for multiplication. We put a group of 3, a group of 3, a group of 3 to get a total of 9. The same picture can be broken down by saying, okay, I have 9 circles, but now I'm going to put 3 in a group, and 3 in a group, and 3 in a group. So now I have 9 divided by, or separated into, 3 groups equals 3 in each group. Same picture, but you're just looking at it from total to breakdown instead of piece to total. You're just kind of working it backwards. If we look at the repeated addition for multiplication, we can see we did 3 plus 3 plus 3 would give you 9. If we look at the division side of it, we're starting with 9 because we know that's our total. We're taking away this 3. We're taking away this 3. We're taking away this 3. And after we take away those 3, we have 0 left. So it's kind of just the opposite. We did addition for multiplication. We're going to do repeated subtraction for division, just breaking it into those different groups. And the same thing for our number line. If this was doing multiplication, we would have started at 0 and gone jump to 3, jump to 6, jump to 9, because we're getting bigger. If we're starting at division, you're going to know your total. So you're going to start at 9, and you're going to jump backwards 3, backwards 3, backwards 3, so you get to 0. Okay, so I want to do one more example with this division, and then we're actually done for the day. I think we're making pretty good time today. Trying to speed it up because I was taking way too long.
Miss Johnson,
Yes.
I didn't get to see any of the lesson parts.
It's going to be saved in a video, so you can look at it there. I think you're having some internet connection problems.
Wasn't letting me in it. Like, taking me out and stuff, and I couldn't see anything.
Okay, it's going to be saved in the video, Hannah, so you can go back and watch it later and see what we've gone over. I'm sorry that you weren't able to see it, but I think you're having some internet issues because you're sounding really choppy and you're not able to kind of see what we're doing. So if you want to jump out, I hate to ask you that, but if you want to jump out and then watch the video later, that's probably going to be best for you until you have some internet connection.
Okay, bye.
I'm sorry about that. Okay, so let's do another example. If I had 16 and I wanted to separate it into 4 different groups. Okay, first of all, let me make this a copy so we can drag a copy of this thing. All right, so I've got 16 total, right? So let me get 16. 1, 2, 3, whoops, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so I'm starting with my total of 16 because division always goes from the total and then you break it down into groups, right? So how many groups did I want? Anybody can answer? Anybody? Anybody? Anybody?
4 groups.
4 groups. Thank you for jumping in there. So I need 4 groups. So I'm going to put these little colors where I can make a group. You can draw a circle, you can draw a grid to show where you want to put these, but I like to organize these kind of like in little boxes. So I'm going to put these 4 boxes because I want 4 groups. And to do this, I'm going to put 1 in each, so it's even, and then start over. Okay, so I'm going to take this 1. Sorry, let me bump these to the back so they don't get covered. Bump this to the back. 1, 1, 1. So now there's 1 in each box. I'm going to start over. 2, 2, 2, 2.
That sounds like a table fan. My mind
Again?
went, oh.
What'd you say? Landon, what'd you say?
I was talking to my dad.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so now I had 16 stars. This one was the one that I copied from, so this one doesn't count. So I had 16 stars, 4, 8, 12, 16. I have the same number in each group. In 2nd grade, that's how you can tell that you've actually done it correctly, because you will have the same number in each group. We won't have any leftovers in 2nd grade. I don't think that starts till 3rd or 4th grade. So you'll know you've done it correctly when you have them equally separated into groups. So if I took 16 and I separated it or divided it, shorthand is divide. If I divided it into 4 groups, what would my answer be? How many is in each group? Anybody?
4.
4, because I have 4 in each group, and I can prove that by looking at how many I have right here. Okay, these are the number of groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, but there's 4 in each group, so 4 would be our answer. Okay, if we were going to show that on our number line, let me make another little dot here if I can. Yeah. All right, we're going to pretend that we have a 16 right here. So if our problem that I need to show is 16 divided by 4 equals 4 groups, or 16 divided by 4, because if we're doing it on a number line, we're doing repeated subtraction, not addition, right? So am I going to start at 0, or am I going to start at 16 if I'm dividing and doing subtraction? Anybody want to jump in? Would I start at 0 or 16? Anybody? All right, Gabriel, I'm going to call on you because you haven't talked to us today, and neither has Cirillo. So let me call on you too. Let me unmute you, Gabriel. Would you start at 0 or 16 if we're going to show a division, repeated subtraction problem? Would you start at 0 or 16?
Zero.
Okay, if I start at 0 and I start subtracting, am I going to be able to subtract anything off my number line over here?
16.
Okay, so let's start at 16. And remember, when we're doing repeated subtraction, just like this one, just like this one, oh darn it.
Okay.
So just like the previous one that we did, if we were doing subtraction and going through the jumps that we were doing, we're subtracting each number that's in each group. So if I start at 16, what would I be jump backwards to? How many am I going to jump backwards, Gabriel? How many's in this group? How many am I going to be jumping backwards?
4.
4. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and this would be my first hop or my first stop, because 16 minus these 4 would land me on 12. Thank you for participating. All right, Cirillo, let me jump to you. Let me see if I can find you on here. If I'm at 12 and I need to jump back some more, here's my next number that I'm going backwards with. I'm at 12 and I jump backwards again. What's the next number that I need to land on?
8.
Very good. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, here's my next spot. Let me make sure I have another one of these to copy. Goes over there. Okay, so here's my next spot. Very good, Cirilla. I'm gonna let you continue this. So if I'm at 8 and I jump back another group, where's the next number I'd land at?
5.
Okay, so let's count. 1, 2, 3. There's 5. Is that all that's in my group? Because remember, we're counting by this number.
No.
Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. How many more do I need to jump?
1.
One more. So if I land here, here's my next number, which would be 4. Good, we're almost done. And if I jump back one more group, make sure you're counting by this number. What number would I land on my number line?
Zero.
Very good. So if I jump over here and I jump 1, 2, 3, 4, in second grade, if you're doing repeated subtraction and you start at your total and you jump back correctly by your groups, you should always be landing on 0. And that's a good thing to notice that you've done it correctly. Okay. So through this week, I would encourage you to not only do the practice quizzes, but also to draw some pictures and maybe have your parents or an older sibling or something like that tell you some small division problems like 12 divided by this or 10 divided by this. Make sure they know it needs to be an equal number. You can draw the circles or the boxes to make your groups in and put that many shapes in the boxes. And I would also love it if you would practice doing the number line. That's only going to help you with remembering to repeatedly subtract. And number lines tend to be hard for us as well. So if you could practice that just a couple of times, that'd be great. All right, before we jump off, is there any questions that anybody had about our lessons for the day?
No.
Hands, everybody's good? Everybody's good, everybody's good, everybody's good. Okay, wonderful. Well, it was good to see y'all again. Remember, if you have any questions or need any help, y'all can jump in on Wednesdays and Fridays for those like short sessions from 9 to 10. And I'm always sitting on there for an hour, so you can jump in and ask questions. If you need more examples, I can do some stuff on the whiteboard or work on some stuff on the screen that you just saw. I'm here for you on Wednesday and Friday. Other than that, y'all have been doing a really good job with uploading your assignments, so just keep up the good work, okay?
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
All right, love you guys. Have a good day.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.